we're pretty much always surrounded by electric lights. And because of that, I think I've underestimated the light of candles for most of my life. If we look at candles the way that we see them here in the studio, we see these beautiful decorations. They're pretty, they're bright, but that's really all they are. It's only when the power comes off, which thankfully is very rare around here, but it's only in those moments that I recognize really the meaning and the power of candles. Because suddenly, rather than just being a nice thing that you put on your dinner table on fancy occasions, a candle becomes the only source of light in the room at night. And it becomes this beacon that draws your attention, that draws people into that place where there's light. And on top of that, when you bring a couple candles together, I'm really impressed by how much they light up a room. They transform it. Take it from being something dark and inhospitable to being something beautiful and warm looking and welcoming. So I think that Jesus' comparison of St. John the Baptist to the light of a candle or light of a lamp is a very powerful one. Given to people for whom not having electric lights was a constant reality as opposed to an unusual crisis situation. They knew what an oil lamp meant, how it transformed a space. And Jesus is saying that we need to be sources of such light. Because we too have been drawn to Christ by the light. And now we're called to share that light with others, share that light with each other. Because we're meant to be a whole set of candles that transforms the world by our light, by our love, by the grace of God flowing in us. That's so important and such a great image to hold on to during this Advent season as we prepare for the coming of the true light of Jesus Christ Himself. We're meant to be transforming the world by being light. And so I think it's so important that we find opportunities to live out and draw people with that grace of knowing the works that Jesus is continuing to do in this life, in this world. Because when we draw them, they will be able to have an encounter with Him. They will be able to recognize and see how He is working in their lives. And then coming to believe, they too will be able to start living a life of love through His grace. And each added candle strengthens that light, strengthens that drawing effect, but also that transformative effect. And while we will never make this world perfect, I'll make it a little bit more warm and welcoming and true and visible, not so full of dark corners, but rather able to show God's goodness by the way that we treat each other. So this is a wonderful season to look for opportunities to forgive those who have hurt us, to be generous to those who are most in need, those who are dealing with the cold weather of these winter months. Opportunities to support those who are going through difficult situations, to let them know they're not alone. A perfect time to just be there for one another. Rejoice with those who are rejoicing. Grieve with those who grieve. Because it's in that way that we will become the light to the nations. That we will be able to unite people into something good and true and beautiful. For a while, we were content to rejoice in the light of John the Baptist. But Jesus is calling us to something greater. He's calling us to have an encounter with Him and join John the Baptist in being lights for the world, bringing about a transformation of our surroundings by shining God's grace through all that we do and all the ways that we care for each other and for all the other people God places in our paths.